chapter 8. And it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I sat in my house, and the elders of Judah sat before me, that the hand of the Lord God fell there upon me. Then I beheld, and lo, a likeness as the appearance of fire, from the appearance of his loins and downward, fire, and from his loins and upward as the appearance of brightness, as the color of electrum. And the form of a hand was put forth, and I was taken by a lock of my head, and a spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heaven, and brought me into the visions of God to Jerusalem, to the door of the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the north, where was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provoketh to jealousy. And behold, the glory of the God of Israel was there, according to the visions that I saw in the plain. Then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up your eyes now the way toward the north. So I lifted up mine eyes the way toward the north, and behold, northward of the gate of the altar this image of jealousy in the entry. And he said unto me, Son of man, seest you what they do, even the great abominations that the house of Israel do commit here, that I should go far off from my sanctuary? But you shall again see yet greater abominations. And he brought me to the door of the court, and when I looked, behold, a hole in the wall. Then he said unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And when I had digged in the wall, behold, a door. And he said unto me, Go in, and see the wicked abominations that they do here. So I went in and saw, and behold, every detestable form of creeping things and beasts, and all the idols of the house of Israel, portrayed upon the wall round about. And there stood before them 70 men of the elders of the house of Israel, and in the midst of them stood Yaazaniah, the son of Shaphan, every man with his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. Then said he unto me, Son of man, have you seen what the elders of the house of Israel do in the dark, every man in his chambers of imagery? For they say, The Lord seeth us not, the Lord hath forsaken the land. He said also unto me, You shall again see yet greater abominations which they do. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north, and behold, there sat the women weeping for Tammuz. Then said he unto me, Have you seen this, O son of man? You shall again see yet greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east, and they worshipped the sun toward the east. Then he said unto me, Have you seen this, O son of man? Is it a light thing to the house of Judah, that they commit the abominations which they commit here, and that they fill the land with violence, and provoke me still more? And lo, they put the branch to their nose. Therefore will I also deal in fury. Mine eye shall not spare, neither will I have pity, and though they cry in mine ears with a loud voice, yet will I not hear them. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Now, in the last chapter, God declaring this end that was coming, this end where God is going to make an end of all these abominations that they have made, or these abominations that they have invented with their understandings. These abominations, even all these detestable things and these practices in which they do, that the Lord God commanded you shall not do. And he said it now for a witness and an evidence in the earth, so that you can see and have understanding. Because God wants you to turn now back to his law, back to his understanding, and to the knowledge that he gave you in the beginning, so that you can live. And we're going to pick this up in verse 1. And it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I sat in my house, and the elders of Judah sat before me, that the hand of the Lord fell there upon me. And this 6th year. 6 is always in representation of this work that men do, this work of men do. And the 6th is the portion of it that is for the year, that greater understanding, that larger circle made of many circles within. In the 6th month, and that once again is that portion of man, that month is that period of time that's under the lesser light. It's a measurement under the moon, and that is the lesser light which God give to rule over the darkness. And in the 5th day of the month, and this 5th day is the portion of grace. See, that's that which is after the beginning of God's great work, and that's the portion of grace in this day, in that little understanding, understanding of the lesser light. As I said in my house, my abode, where I abode, my dwellings within, and the elders of Judah set before me. That's all these ones who supposedly have understanding of this place of praisings. The hand of the Lord fell upon me, and this is the work of God that he has done in the earth, that which we can understand, that which we can see. 2. Then I beheld, and lo, a likeness as the appearance of fire, from the appearance of his loins and downward, fire, and from his loins and upward as the appearance of brightness, as the color of electrum. And this likeness, this appearance, if I could tell you that it looked like something, I would have to explain it like this, that would appear to be just fire. And we know that fire is the judgment of God. And from the appearance of his loins, that's at what descends from above down into the lower. And this would represent the understanding coming down, and downward was fire. So as the understanding come down, it was judgment. And from his loins and upward as the appearance of brightness and the color of electrum. And from this and upwards even, towards the understanding, the appearance of great brightness, this color of electrum. It's like lightning bolts. It's like the color of lightning as it flashes, that flash of even understanding, and brightness of great understanding even is what that represents. It's the similitude of. 3. And the form of the hand was put forth, and I was taken by a lock of my head, and a spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heaven, and brought me to the visions of God, to Jerusalem, to the door of the gate of the inner court, that looks toward the north, where was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provokes to jealousy. And this form of a hand, as if it was a work that God had done, it was put forth, and I was taken by a lock of my head, and this lock represents a portion of the glory of my understanding, and the Spirit, even my understanding, even this understanding that God gives, see, that from the law, from his understanding that he gave in the beginning, lifted me up between the earth and the heaven. That's between these ways of flesh and the understandings of the higher understanding even of God. And he brought me into the visions of God to Jerusalem. Jerusalem's that place of peaceful teachings, even that place God's making an example of from the beginning. And visions, he brought me there. And these visions is these understandings explained so that you can see them and what they are. To the door of the gate of the inner court. And that inner court was the second court now, where the Levites would go, and the Levites was allowed to enter, but not the outer court, where only those who came to visit who were not Levites could enter. And this was the portion that looks toward the north. North is a representation of the great judgment of God. It's where God stores his treasures, in the north. All these treasures, even his treasuries of destruction. Where was the seat of the image of jealousy? And that image that makes jealous, this which provokes to jealousy. And that jealousy is kinah. And that jealousy is what it is the passion that they have for it that makes God jealous. Why? They love it more than they love God. they don't keep the Word of God. They don't understand that God give you this in your error. See, God give you this as in a punishment, and they love their punishment more than they love God. 4. And behold, the glory of the God of Israel was there, according to the vision that I saw in the plain. And that vision, that understanding that he had in the plain where he was before, that place that was made level, that place of understanding even, that vision that he saw there, where he saw all the judgments of God, see, that chariot of God coming down, and God riding over it. 5. Then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up your eyes now the way toward the north. So I lifted up mine eyes the way toward the north, and behold, northward of the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy in the entry. And there, towards the gate of this gate, that gate represents this place where they used to gather for judgments and bring their problems there. This image of jealousy sitting there, and it cutting off now this judgment place, this place of judgment. It's sitting there like it has a throne there. But see, that is the gate that enters into the God's house, and they don't have no business there. We'll find out men had set this there even long ago, and this is what was going on, and this is what's going on. 6. And he said unto me, Son of man, see you what they do, even the great abominations that the house of Israel do commit here, that I should go far off from my sanctuary? But you shall again see yet greater abominations. Son of man, the ones that can understand these teachings that God gave in the beginning, you that are born from man, this mankind even, being able to see. Seest you what they do, even these great abominations that the house of Israel do? That house of Israel, those that contend with the mighty one, those ones that are scattered out in all the earth, that God should go away from his sanctuary. Why? We're going to see now. It's because of the imaginations of men, these images they create in your mind. See, you're not allowed to make yourself an image. 7. And he brought me to the door of the court, and when I looked, behold, a hole in the wall. And he brought me to the door of the court, and this is the door. A door is something that goes in and out, a way to go. It is a place, an opening, and the word is patak, and that word just simply means an opening. It's a way to go in and out. And he brought me to the door of this court, and when I looked, behold, a hole in the wall. There was a hole in the wall, and that hole represents it's like a crack, a chink, a place in the wall, because the daubing of this wall, we're going to see, is of untempered mortar. This is a place that they made for themselves inside the house of God. 8. Then said he unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And when I had digged in the wall, behold, a door. So when I dug in the wall, there was a door there. See, there was already a door there, one that had been covered up. 9. And he said unto me, Go in and see the wicked abominations that they do there. To go into this room, because this room represents a chamber that they had built for themselves in the house of God. See, and we're going to find, it was the scribe's chamber. It was a scribe's chamber because they used to gather there in the scribe's chambers to consort, to figure out what they would do. 10. And I went in and saw, and behold, every detestable form of creeping things and beasts, and all the idols of the house of Israel, portrayed upon the wall round about. And this portrayed upon the wall would be as if it were seen, and today we would have pictures, just like we would have a picture of something on the wall that would show all these horrible, detestable, nasty things, all these unclean. See, God made a separation in the flesh in the beginning with the law. See, separating the flesh that was clean from the flesh that was unclean with the law. So show you that with the law, he has the ability to separate flesh. And these unclean flesh is what we're talking about. All these nasty, creeping things, and every beast that is unclean was hung, just like in a picture, on the wall. And all their idols of the house of Israel, these ones that are scattered out in all the nation, and all these idols represent the imaginations of men. 11. And there stood before them 70 men of the elders of the house of Israel. And in the midst of them stood Jaazaniah, the son of Shaphan, every man with his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. And they was all standing there, 70 men. These 70 men, this 7 is the perfection. It's the accomplishment of the law. It's 10, 7, 10, 70. These men, this is the accomplishment of the law, even in the men, in the elders of the house of Israel. These ones that were supposed to have understanding, God has, this is the judgment of them. And in the midst of them stood Jaazaniah. And this is, my God listens. And my God listens, and it really what it means is my God listens to those that will hear God. He's the son of Shaphan, and we remember Shaphan. He is the burrower. He is the one who digs holes in the earth. He is, it can be translated a badger, but it's anything that digs in the earth. It's a burrower. And every man with his censer in his hand. And this censer was something they would put a incense into, and it was in reference to these prayer and this understandings that would go up to God through this prayer, and it was only supposed to be done by a Levite of the priesthood, and this incense had to be a very special incense, or it's just not acceptable unto God. This thick cloud of incense, we'll find that this is confusion, because every man was offering his own incense before the Lord, his own understandings, his own knowledge. 12. Then said he unto me, Son of man, have you seen what the elders of the house of Israel do in the dark, every man in his chambers of his imagery? For they say, The Lord seeth us not, the Lord hath forsaken the land. They don't understand who God is. They have no knowledge. They don't know he's a God that you can't see. He's a God that's everywhere. He's a God that's in all, and he's a God that put you there in your sin even. And this is what they do in the dark. This dark represents there where you can't see them. They think they're hiding. They think they have found a place to hide and that they can't be seen. And every man in his chambers of imagery. And these chambers, that's that place. They thought they could make them a little spot there in the house of God. See, they thought they could take up a room and make them a room in the house of God. And there they have this is their chamber of imagery. This little place they think of their understanding that they will dwell in the house of God. No, that's not the way it works. 13. He said also unto me, You shall again see yet greater abominations which they do. And greater abominations than this do they do. See, they look upon this like a little thing. 14. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north. And behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. And Tammuz is that sprout of life. See, that's that little sprout they was looking for, that little branch that comes off, that marks the beginning even of something that might bring forth fruit. That's what it, and these women, woman, what that one that comes from man, and it represents this understanding. And they're weeping for this sprout of life. Why? Because, see, this is that which is prepared to be lopped. It's prepared to be cut off. 15. Then said he unto me, Have you seen this, O son of man? You shall again see yet greater abominations than these. Greater abominations than this do they do. 16. And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house. And behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east, and they worshipped the sun toward the east. And he brought me to the inner court, even this inner understanding, even this place this place where the Levites were allowed. This is the inner area where God's temple is. See where the temple of God is, even within there. And this at the door of the temple of the Lord. And this is that place where the opening, and you could go in and out at the Lord's house, even right there in front of God's holy temple, between the porch and the altar. And that was that altar that was before the Lord's house. Were about 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of the Lord. And these five, now this is the grace in the redemption of men, because this is the witness of the law, because twice you'll witness them break this law. Toward the temple of the Lord, their backs toward the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east. And that face, once again, is those things that are made plain. It's going to be easy enough to see their faces toward the east. That's the place where the sun comes up. That's that place of enlightenment. They worship the sun toward the east. And this sun, that is Shamash. That is even that house, that pillar of understanding that was supposed to be bringing enlightenment, understanding that they had set there in that gate, that place toward the east, where enlightenment was supposed to come from. This was that new beginning, even that new day, that new morning coming up. 17. Then he said unto me, Have you seen this, O son of man? Is it a light thing to the house of Judah, that they commit the abominations which they commit here, and that they fill the land with violence, and provoke me still more? And lo, they put the branch to their nose. Is this a light thing? Is this a light thing that they do? Have you seen this? That they commit this abominations which they commit here? And they fill the land with violence. They don't teach understanding. They don't teach truth. There's no knowledge in the land. And provoke me still more. Provoke God still more with your lack of understanding there in that temple of God. And lo, they put the branch to their nose. And this branch, they've used it. That's that little sprout that was coming forth there. That branch that was bringing forth. See, they use it for their enjoyment. That's what this means. They put the branch to their nose. See, they sniff it up, they smell it, and they think they can savor all the goodness of it. But see, no one else is allowed to have it. It's like that. It's that represents that knowledge. That understanding comes down from God. They think it's for their pleasure and for them to smell and enjoy. But for you, see, you have to be portioned out. You have to bring your monies. You have to buy it. See, you have to buy it. They're selling it, and you have to buy it. That was what was going on then, and that's what's going on now. 18. Therefore will I also deal in fury. Mine eye shall not spare, neither will I have pity, and though they cry in mine ears with a loud voice, yet will I not hear them. That's why, see, God is furious. That's why God's eye is not having any pity, and he shall not spare. Why? Because they are caused to error, and these men are causing them to err, and they seem to love it so. They aren't teaching you understanding. They aren't giving you any knowledge. They aren't trying to bring you by a way that will turn you from your sin. They want you to continue in your sin, because that's where the money's at, see. As long as you're in error, as long as you're doing wrong, they prosper. See, the wicked prosper off your error. God prospers when there is no error, see. And when God prospers, they don't. So turn and return. Let's move on to chapter 9.